Hi everyone, this is Youngsun again. This one is lesson 2 and we will talk about pedagogical content knowledge, also called PCK, which we induced through action research. And we will talk about how to conduct lesson study or instructional consulting to improve teachers' teaching or teachers' ways of conducting classroom teaching. So your activity mission could be tell the difference between general teaching consultation and subject-specific teaching consultation, and try to examine the teacher evaluation content presented on your worksheet and change them to the ones that reflect mathematics or science PCK. Okay, let's begin. There is variations of lesson study, also called instructional consulting, in Asian countries, Korea as well as Japan. We call it lesson study. Sometimes it's called coaching, mentoring, induction program for instructional improvement, or instructional consulting, classroom supervision, or it could also be called kind of action research. In these days, instructional consulting or mentoring program is conducted through teachers' learning communities at the school level. So there is some kind of a policy drives for instructional consulting in Korea. In Korea, we introduced the teacher evaluation system since 2005, and which is designed to help teachers improve their professionalism so that their improved professionalism or teaching professionalism could result in students' performance improvement. So the Ministry of Education in Korea also conducted the so-called an open class, which is you open your classroom teaching so that anybody walk in so that they can watch or comment about your instruction or teaching afterwards. And after watching or observing open classes, the expert or mentor teachers provide some kind of classroom clinics or instructional consulting based on what they observed during the open classes. And we also introduced the so-called master teacher system since 2008. Main roles of the master teacher was to observe and conduct or provide some kind of instructional consulting for novice or beginning teachers. And they also acted as a mentor or instructional consultant in lesson studies. And there was a so-called problem of practice. And since there is no official teacher evaluation system implemented in schools, we didn't need to some kind of improvement in our teaching. I mean, it's all our own to improve my teaching or to improve my lessons. So since the 2005, we did the implementation of the teacher evaluation system and open classes and so on. The development of instructional consulting program is essential in Korea. For science or mathematics or sometimes or any kind of subject-specific pedagogical knowledge or practice, we focused on so-called PCK. Our instructional or teaching consulting program features linking PCK with instructional consulting. So we have focused on our teacher education research on so-called best practices in content teaching, such as mathematics or science and so on, to exemplify pedagogical content knowledge for subject-specific teaching. It's not about general psychology of teaching and learning or ways to improve your classroom teaching. It's about how to improve teaching science or teaching mathematics. So in Korean version of instructional consulting program, focused on PCK. So since 2005, we conducted a research on the development of instructional consulting for secondary as well as primary beginning teachers with a focus on pedagogical content knowledge. So let's think about what is the difference between general teaching consultation and subject-specific teaching consultation, and how to improve or how to develop subject-specific teaching consultation program focused on PCK. I will present a research example that where we induced science-specific or mathematics-specific pedagogical content knowledge by analyzing or by researching expert teachers' classroom practice. We focused on PCK and link that PCK to the teaching or instructional consulting program. PCK is suggested by Lee Schulman in 1986 as a response to what is the teacher professionalism. Schulman said there is a big difference between scientists and science teachers. I mean, for example, who could be the best to teach reproduction or genetics to high school or middle school students? Is it gynecologist, the doctor, or is it biology teacher? So pedagogical content knowledge is proposed as the teacher's professionalism, which differentiate teachers from content specialists, such as scientists versus science teachers. So it's also called content-specific pedagogy, or knowledge of science education, or knowledge of content education, subject education, right? And then teachers' knowledge about how to teach particular science content or mathematics content to particular students in ways that promote students' understanding, and professional knowledge of subject teaching, which allows teachers to transform what they know about their content, science knowledge, mathematics knowledge, into something meaningful for their students. Teachers who have not taught a particular topic before may have little or no PCK in their specific content area. That is, successful and effective teachers are likely to have well-developed PCK in their specific content topic or areas. The purpose of our PCK research is to prevent every teacher from reinventing the wheel. So that all beginning teachers do not need to learn how to teach by trial and error. So we want to make some kind of knowledge base of what science PCK or what mathematics PCK is, so that beginning teachers could learn by watching or by experiencing those PCKs through instructional consulting program. So for the last 20 years, Korean researchers, subject educators conducted PCK research. One of the best ways to improve one's teaching practice is to watch others' classroom practice, which is why we introduced the so-called open classes, so that beginning teachers could watch whatever classrooms they want to. So by watching successful teachers' pedagogical content knowledge, other teachers, including beginning teachers, could get useful insights in their teaching as they explore aspects of others' topic or content-specific PCK. So the first step of our PCK research is to analyze videotaped or our observed classes or lessons. So we videotaped classroom teaching where 3 teachers taught the same topics in a given curriculum unit in science as well as mathematics and other subject areas. And the second step is to make teachers write reflective summaries where teachers provide reasoned decision making in the context of teaching that particular content in a certain subject area. And we conducted a so-called teacher conference with a video-based conversation, which allows us or teachers to envision how to put theory into practice. With these steps and processes, we wanted to focus on instructional consulting in a learning community of teachers. That is so-called community environment, so that they can share what they know and why they did what they did in their own classes. And we try to induce or deduce so-called subject-specific PCK based on real classroom teaching. Based on the PCK research, we also induced or deduced the so-called teaching standards. Teaching standards are essential to a professional model of teaching and provide a sound basis for teachers' learning. So we watched and analyzed and discussed about what is good teaching based on real classroom lessons, which is videotaped. And we deduced characteristics of good teachers and good teaching and component of teacher professionalism that is also used as teaching standards. And then we finally deduced components of teaching standards. So this is the process of development of teaching standards. As I said before, teaching standards or general teaching standards versus subject-specific teaching standards could be different. So where we deduce teaching standards focused on PCK, we include or we deduced like 4 areas of teaching standards. But since our subject area is science, so 4 areas of science teaching standards. Area 1 is professional knowledge and what the teacher knows. And area 2 is a connection between knowledge and practice. Since area 3 is all about practice, practical area. from design of lesson study, or before that, analyzing curriculum and reconstruction of curriculum, and then design of some kind of lesson study and evaluation plans, and so on. Area 3 is all about practice. And area 4 is professional responsibility, which is teachers' professional development. It's kind of teachers' lifelong learning area. These four teaching standards, these four areas of teaching standards are drawn through so-called grounded theory. Grounded theory is a way of teachers' action research, and it's literally we deduce or induce some kind of practical theory from the ground. It's literally grounded in the ground, in the field, in the practice. So it's like a bottom-up approach. Other than top-down, from theory to practice approach, in grounded theory, in qualitative action research, it's like a bottom-up, from ground to theory. So grounded theory affirmed its intellectual depth to Peirce. You remember Peirce, who developed abduction, abductive reasoning, and Dewey. So there are two types of grounded theory. One is Strauss, and the other one is Glaser. And Strauss's pragmatism, he positioned his grounded theory as an abductive method, which is suggested by Peirce, Peirce's abductive reasoning, and the Glaser's grounded theory. He persistently presented grounded theory as an inductive method. It's like induction from many data, and you could make some kind of generalized statement. From specifics to general, it's inductive method. So there are two ways of grounded theory. One is abduction, the other one is induction. So this one shows a brief overview of coding in grounded theory. So you could see some kind of here. There is open coding, and there's axial coding and selective coding, and then you could make some kind of from concept to theory. It's like a practical grounded on the data. So bottom-up approach. From data collection and data analysis, and you go through all three steps of codings, from open, axial, and selective coding, and then you have some kind of small scale or medium scale practical theory. This is the approach we took when we developed science teaching standards or subject-specific teaching standards. As I said before, there are four areas of content subject-specific teaching standards in Korea. One is professional knowledge, which includes knowledge about content knowledge and content curriculum. And the second one is knowledge about ways of teaching and ways of assess student learning. And the third area is about knowledge about student and their learning. And the second area is about connection between teachers' knowledge and their practice. So before the linkage between theory and practice, we first look at the practice areas of teachers' professionalism. The first area is classroom learning environment, learning culture. It's about how to make some kind of making rapport between students and between student and teachers, making the classroom environment or climate so that it helps or encourages student learning, or safe environment for student learning. And another area is teaching practice, which consists of method and content. Method include use of various and appropriate teaching and learning method, and providing effective feedback to students, and flexible classroom management depending on students' population or situations. And content area include understanding of science concept by teachers, and facilitation of scientific inquiry ability, and connections between science. It's like an integrative approach. In these days, in Korean science curriculum, we emphasize so-called big ideas. We try to interconnect sub-areas of science, so-called physics, chemistry, bios, life science, and earth science, etc. So, contents include the purpose of science curriculum. When we say why we teach students science, we want to teach them science content, science inquiry, science attitude, and relationship between science and technology in society, and so on and so on. So this is the content aspect of practice. And another aspect of practice is evaluation of student learning outcomes. So this consists of PCKs of science teaching practice. And there's the second area, the connection between teacher's knowledge and teacher's practice. It's all about designing coherent instructional planning, so-called teaching plans or lesson plans. So you could incorporate, or you need to combine all you know with what you do in your classrooms. So that's about connections between knowledge and practice. And the last area of teachers' PCK includes professionalism. It's kind of a continuous teacher's professional development. Teaching job or teaching profession is like ongoing development. For even in-service teachers, they need to learn for lifetime. Since the educational needs and situations of education, such as COVID-19, this outbreak of coronavirus, so there is ongoing need for teachers' professional development. So that's the last area of content-specific teaching standards. So that's the overview of science teaching standards focused on pedagogical content knowledge of science. This diagram shows what we did, so-called procedures of teaching analysis. Before classroom observation, we conducted the teacher interview who will do the teaching, and collection of materials, including lesson plans and all kind of additional teaching materials, and selection of evaluation component based on the PCK, and the selection of observation index and weighting. I mean, in one classroom or one observed class, we could not apply all those components of teaching standards. So we selected appropriate teaching evaluation component and areas. And then we conducted the classroom observation. And after classroom observation, we conducted the teacher interview again. So the teacher explained why he did and what he did in his teaching. And then we analyzed and evaluated teacher's teaching. And then determined the level of teacher's classroom performance. And then we provided the overall evaluation, including specific feedback and some kind of comment about his or her science teaching. Okay, this one we made some drawing or representation. This is the iceberg. It's the tip of iceberg. It's the revealed or some kind of explicit part of classroom teaching. Teachers make explicit in the form of PCK, but bottom of the sea level, this is the waterline, and then bottom of the iceberg, the tip of iceberg is what we can see in the form of PCK, and below the sea level, there are huge amount of teachers' professional knowledge base. It's so-called implicit. We could not notice this part. This one is implicit. This one is sea level. It's hidden below the water. And this one is explicit. We could locate PCK since it's explicit, but we could not locate this implicit part of teacher's knowledge base. It includes everything. It's called, it's written in Korean though. It's about content knowledge, and this is about knowledge about curriculum, and knowledge about teaching method, and knowledge about students' understanding, students' preconception, misconception, etc. And this is about ways of assess student learning. This is about professional development. So this one is implicit. So when you locate and when you talk about PCK, this is only tip of iceberg. There is a huge hidden part or implicit part of teacher's knowledge base. So in this lesson 2, I reviewed Korean situation of teachers' instructional consulting focused on pedagogical content knowledge, also called subject-specific teaching pedagogy. Subject-specific pedagogy. And then we try to empower, give teachers power so that they could be professionals. In order to that, teacher needed to build a knowledge base for teaching, including PCK. So, teachers are required to expand through praxis. Do you remember praxis? Which is not just practice, it's about theory-based practice, where teachers reflect upon, theorize, and refine their knowledge base by translating theory into practice. And we wanted teachers to be so-called informed professionals, where this informed professional means teachers' capacity to interpret and implement curriculum and policy mandates at the local school and classroom level to generate equity education and improve student outcomes through teaching and learning. So this is the direction of Korean teacher education these days. And still, we need more research to investigate the relationship between the teacher's professionalism and student outcomes. There should be some kind of relationship between these two variables. But sometimes student outcomes or their performance is not the direct indicate of their teacher's professionalism. So in the era of no child left behind, student achievement data could be used as an indicator of their teacher's performance. But we need more research to support that direction. Still, to achieve complex objectives such as quality of education requires a sound research basis. The overall direction of teacher professionalism moves away from effective teacher paradigm and moves towards to reflective, inquiring, and transformative teacher paradigms. And please review your worksheet so that tell the difference between content-specific pedagogical knowledge and general teaching knowledge. Okay, and then examine the teacher evaluation content presented on the worksheet, which will be provided for you, and then change them to the ones that reflect your subject area PCK. I mean, if you were a science teacher, try to develop teacher evaluation content that can be used to assess science PCK, to used in science classrooms, science teaching. Thank you very much.